The Morning Drive is sponsored by Power Metallic. To find out more about the company, please visit their website at powermetallic.com. Follow the Money Investor Group is a 100% Indigenous-owned company and certified with the Canadian Council for Aboriginal Business.
Gary Thompson.
Yeah, good to see you again.
Yeah, CEO of Silver47.
Silver47, why 47?
I was going to ask, why? Why? What's...
47 is the atomic number for silver.
Okay, that
so
makes
it's all
sense.
about, it's like silver.
And so how did you get involved in this company?
Yeah, well, I founded the company in 21, and remember back in 21 there was a silver squeeze?
Yeah.
And I was like,
COVID days.
Yeah, right. So I was like, silver squeeze. Yeah, let me dig into that a little bit more, and so I did, and then I thought, well, what do I know about silver projects that might be available? And so yeah, I just kind of started looking around for silver opportunities, and as most people in the space know, only 30% of the silver mines are actually primary silver mines, and most of the silver comes from byproducts of other lead, zinc, gold, copper mines, or what have you. So I managed to strike a deal on a silver project in the Yukon, which was how we started. It was called Michelle, and the kind of stuff that I like is district scale, so big scale project with lots of opportunity, tons of targets, and with ideally a resource already established, but certainly some drilling. And so that sort of Michelle project ticked the boxes, and we struck an all stock deal, so no cash outlay, and they were originally large shareholders of Silver47, and then so we got really lucky and drilled an amazing, in our first 10 drill holes on the project, we drilled an amazing silver discovery. So got really lucky. And
what were the grades?
I think it was like 15 meters of 900 gram silver and 30% lead zinc, and including within that was like I think 8 meters of 1500 gram silver and 50% lead zinc.
Okay.
And tons of like critical minerals like antimony and gallium, and yeah, it was a really interesting project. And then that's kind of how we got started.
Right. So now your last financing, I think you were just trying to grab $3 million.
Yeah.
And even though silver, gold and silver have obviously been on a rise, I've heard it's actually been very difficult to raise funds, but you actually upsized to $8 million. So.
Yeah, well, 9.8 ultimately.
9.8.
We upsized it twice, and
okay.
When we launched that financing,
when was it?
That was a couple months ago now. I think it was like I want to say April, May. I mean, it was actually, it took almost took us 2 months to get through that, because we upsized it multiple times. But went out to get 3, and we weren't really sure where the orders were. We had some interest, but yeah.
Where was the stock there? Like, what's the
I think it was trading around 60 cents. I think we did a 50-cent unit deal.
Okay.
With a half a warrant, and then it just the orders just started flooding in, and a lot of our existing shareholders re-upped. So that was a big part of the support.
Okay. That made you feel more comfortable taking more money.
Yeah, and just we sort of, in an ideal world, we'd set out to ideal is like would like to have $10 million so we could really go hard on our new project, which is Red Mountain. So we acquired that subsequently, which is now the flagship, and that's got a substantial resource on it. So that was we've only been trading since November 2024, so we're not even 6 months old as a public company.
Right.
So exciting news story with a resource, lots of upside on the silver, and I think the market. What we're seeing in the market is you're right, and not everybody's getting financed, and it's been a challenging time for many juniors.
Yeah.
It's certainly fragmented, And there's sort of windows of financing where it's on, and you see, and I think it's partly tied to what we're seeing in the precious metal trajectory upward, and mainly on the gold side.
Yeah.
And silver's
lagging.
It is a bit lagging, and it's a bit frustrating because there's a increasing gap between the gold and silver now. And
yeah, the ratio is really off.
Yeah, over 100 to 1 ratio, which doesn't really make any sense. But
do you know when the last time we saw a ratio like that for silver and gold?
It's certainly been a long time. I mean, I think at one point it was maybe 120 or something not too long ago, but I think the average is like 50. So, a lot of people in the space would be happy to see that 50-1 ratio again, which means the price of silver would be much higher. And what I think part of it is that silver has more of an industrial angle now to it than the monetary part, perhaps.
Right.
But if you dig into the uses for silver, it's pretty remarkable. Yeah. I think there's only one other commodity that has more uses than silver, and that's oil. So it's got something like over 10,000 uses or something.
Really? So
pretty remarkable diversity, and if you go down that path and look at all the uses for silver, it's like, wow, we need silver for so many things.
Right.
And lots of people aren't aware that like the military complex uses a lot of silver.
Yeah.
And
I think that's in my Lulu shirt, to be honest.
Probably, yeah. I've actually got one of those similar kind of shirts that has silver. It's actually been one of the long surviving shirts that I have.
Yeah.
It's tough, and it has this antibacterial property to it.
Yeah, I love them. What about the supply metrics around silver? Like, that must be attractive too, eh?
Yeah, well, as I said earlier, it's really hard to find a primary silver deposit, and I always say don't fight the trend, because silver, we know, comes from a byproduct of many other metals, and they all tend to form, not always, but a lot of these metals tend to form together when they make up a deposit. But the supply is a bit constrained. I mean, I think we're going into year 4 of a deficit. Right. A 200 to 300 million ounce deficit, so you can't keep that up. And I think there's some, the shorts are, I think, papering up the the actual market. I think people that follow all the space.
That's been happening for a long time.
Yeah, right. It's legalized, manipulation, really. And there's not much you can do about it, because the big banks have helped set the regs on that, and so it's all legal, but they can short it and paper up, and it's hard to it's in the overall scheme of the financial markets now, it's a bit of a niche, isn't it?
Yeah. In
terms of $1 trillion companies now, and the big banks are playing with huge amounts of capital, but it's one of those commodities that's needed, and so we're just doing what we can to find more and prove them up, and ultimately get something into production so we can get some cash flow going.
Before we get into the project a little more, you want to talk about the capital structure and your shareholders, and maybe how much of this thing do you own?
Yeah, I guess between me and my family are probably 10.5 million shares or something. So we're probably in that 15% range. With this last financing, we're about 70 million shares out.
Okay.
Standing. The largest shareholder outside of me and my family would be Crescat Capital. They've been long supporters even when we first started on the Yukon stuff.
Well, they're good at promoting too. They know how to promote.
Yeah, and their continued support is huge, right? And so they're number 2 on the list, and then Eric Sprott, of course, is.
Can't have a silver deal without.
Can't have a silver deal without Mr. Eric Sprott. He's been great. And then lots of retail. I've actually got quite a bit of European investors as well, and so it's it's pretty tightly held, really, considering it's a brand new story, and just looking to grow.
Yeah. Well, let's get into the projects, and then maybe how you're allocating the budget.
Yeah, so just to cover off on the Yukon one, so we made this big silver discovery in the Yukon, and went to permit a Class 3 permit, which would give us 5 years worth of drilling, and that's where that project kind of stalled out. And so we shifted gears and got introduced to the project called Red Mountain in Alaska, and it's again another one of these large-scale district play opportunities that had a substantial resource on it. So that changed the focus for the company, and now we're primarily focused on this Red Mountain asset. It's classified as a VMS or SEDEX, which is volcanogenic massive sulfide. So it's a polymetallic.
Okay.
Silver and gold rich. It has a lot of base metals. So right now it's I think it's about 33% precious metals to base metals. So it has a lot of zinc dominant system. But the work that we've done on it shows that we think we can improve that precious to base metal ratio. So the objective is to, with the budget we have now, to go and we're going to be kicking off drilling in early June up there in Alaska, south central Alaska. So we had our Apex published an inferred resource of 168 million silver equivalent ounces at 336 grams per ton silver EQ. So it's good grade, and but we do have silver, gold, copper, lead, zinc, and then last year we did a scrub of the data, and pretty appreciable amounts of antimony and gallium, which are two critical and strategic metals that are that China really has banned the export of, and mainly China controls about 98% of the world's gallium.
Right.
And between China and Russia, they control about 80% of the world's antimony.
Well, it's funny you bring that up, right? Because now your project's in the U.S.
Yeah.
And they're not a big fan of what you just said. So is that helping out you guys at all?
Yeah, well, I think so. I mean, and we're actually working with a group out of the U.S. on trying to figure out how we can access There's been a number of executive orders out of the new administration in the U.S. to really accelerate the development of these critical minerals. And zinc is a critical mineral.
Yeah.
I know silver's not on the list yet, but it should be. Maybe it's just a matter of time, right? So, yeah, we think it's very positive. Having a project in the U.S. with an abundance of. It's not just one. We're not just potentially mining one element here. We're mining a basket of strategic and critical minerals, along with many others.
So maybe just find the right consultant, someone that can.
Yeah, well, we've got some advisors we're working with right now that have been successful in tapping that, and it's just a process. And we're a brand new company, so we haven't done the legwork on it. So there's some work to be done on that front.
Who's on your board?
Ryan Goodman and David Netherway. It's only three right now. It's three board member. Myself. Ryan is a lawyer by trade and works for Orezone.
Orezone Mining.
Yeah, they have a gold mine development in Africa. And David Netherway is a geologist that has had a good track record. I think he's built and sold 5 gold mining companies.
Hey, that's not bad.
And so he's pretty solid, and yeah, it's a good group, and we're a young small company, but we have big visions to grow aggressively, and would like to be one of the top silver name kind of go-to silver companies. So we got lots of work to do in front of us there.
So I've interviewed you before, but it's been a while. It's been a long time, actually.
Mm-hmm.
You want to just bring our community up to speed on some of your past ventures and what you've done before you got here?
Yeah, so Silver47 is number 4 pubco for me. I was most recently involved in a company called Gold 79 Mines that I helped
You like the numbers,
restructure. Well, again, 79 is the atomic number for silver, or for gold rather. And so we did a merger recently with a company called Bullet in Nevada, and that brought in some strategic investors and part of the Andy Bowering Group, and now they changed the name to West Point Gold.
Okay.
And so I'm, I was involved in there. I was the CEO for a while and chairman for a number of years there. So I'm out of that deal now, other than a shareholder. And the interesting thing is that they were able to raise $6 million in that story. And everybody that we brought down to that gold chain project in Arizona got quite excited about the opportunity there.
Okay.
And you heard the story. Well, all the easy stuff has been found. It's hard to find these new deposits. Well, if you go to the gold chain project, you can see quartz veins, calcite, stockwork mineralization sticking out of the ground for 6 kilometers. So it's never really had any drilling on it. The old timers, the original patents that were there, that have now been acquired, just were old test pits and mining and just panning for gold and stuff and dig up these little pits and stuff. So that deal is now well on its way, and they've had some really good drilling success recently. So I'm excited to see that move forward, and then the other couple companies I'm involved with, Brixton Metals, which I think we got interviewed together before on that. That's kind of morphed into quite a large copper gold play in northwest BC. Having some good success on the drilling on that project. Brought in the world's largest miner as the largest shareholder of Brixton now, BHP's in there.
Yeah.
So I'm still involved with that company and driving that forward to big discovery and chasing big copper gold targets in BC, and we have a budget on that this year. And then my first public company was a geothermal power development company called Sierra Geothermal, which we put together in 2006, and that had quite a large portfolio of geothermal power development projects. We started in Canada. We actually had the Mount Cayley, which was classified as Canada's #2 geothermal energy project.
Oh, yeah.
And then we shifted gears into Nevada and California, because if you want to be in geothermal power development, that's really the place to be. And that company was, we built that up and made some discoveries, and we were moving towards development, and then we got acquired in 2010. And then that's when I started Brixton. So
that was about a 4-year thing for you?
Yeah, I was in geothermal a little bit before that, but as a pubco, that was
Is that
pretty
in the
quick
time
and
that the Canadian government had a bunch of grants out for geothermal?
I don't know if the Canadian government had any grants. I think they've been trying to be supportive of it. We were successful in the U.S. I think it was about a $10 million DOE grant that we secured in the U.S. for some drilling technology, basically adapting some oil and gas technology for geothermal stuff. So that was an interesting company and project.
Well, congratulations on your new venture.
Yeah, thanks.
Obviously, it looks like silver is poised to do very well, especially given the supply-demand metrics and the ratio, the lagging ratio behind gold. Gold seems to be
ripping.
You got central banks buying. Yeah, like a lot of people in our space here, they think it's going to pull back. Actually, I hear a lot of that.
Well, it has pulled back a bit, but I feel like just recently it actually has been taking a run again upward.
I mean, relatively speaking, on a relative basis, its strength is just crazy.
Yeah.
So that's good for silver. How can people get a hold of you? And what are the finer worlds?
Yeah, well, silver47.ca is our website. Go have a look at that, and the company trades on the venture AgEq, so silver in America.
Well, there you have it. If you're looking for a silver play, and there isn't very many. Do you know how many publicly traded silver plays there are?
I don't have the numbers off the top of my head, but I can tell you that there's a small list of silver opportunities out there. And there's certainly a lot of gold companies, but if you look at the silver names, there's pretty finite, a short list, we'll say.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you very much.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Maybe we'll catch up with you on an X Space or in the fall or something like that.
I'd be happy to.
Absolutely. All right. Take care, everybody.
Follow the Money Investor Group is a 100% Indigenous-owned company and certified with the Canadian Council for Aboriginal Business.